Taped from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
And I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
How you doing, Darren?
I'm doing good. Happy birthday to me. Hooray.
Happy birthday! Or, happy belated birthday, because it was actually on the 15th. But
Oh, that's right. Yes. All right.
Closest episode to the 15th.
Cool.
So.
That was a test, and you passed. Yes, my birthday is passed. I'm doing good, doing all right. This is one of the first times where the two of us aren't in the first state recording this thing, because I am away in jolly old Maryland.
We've done that at least once before. I know we recorded at least one episode when I was visiting family down in Georgia. So
What? When did we do that?
Oh. When I was down in Georgia.
Oh, okay. Dev went down Georgia. Okay, all right.
I mean, I can't give you an exact date at this point, but it has happened.
Give me an exact time and place. What was the weather? Give me all the details.
No.
Not a team player. All right. I see how you played. You played,
yes,
Trumbull.
You were outside of New Jersey.
Yes, I'm outside New Jersey. A little getaway with the wife. She's at a work conference, and I'm recording this in like a hotel room. I'm not crouched over in the closet anymore, like feeling like some type of pervert. I'm out in the open and free, baby. It's great.
Feeling like some type of pervert.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that feeling never goes away.
Yeah, you were very excited that you were not in a closet. So
it's a big deal.
I'm happy for you.
It's a big deal for me. Like I almost cried. It was like a single tear rolling down my cheek, like that Native American when he sees a litter on the ground.
Sure. Yeah, a single manly tear. Oh, well, that's nice. I'm sorry that we can't carry this forward, but I'm not paying for a hotel room for you every day.
Damn it! Is that not in the non-productive budget?
No, it's not in my rider.
Can we get petty cash to cover that? No.
I don't know. We'll have this conversation off air. But since it is your birthday, usually when one of our birthdays rolls around and SNL doesn't have a new episode, as they sometimes do, it's the person's pick of what they wanted to do. And usually we pick out a movie. This time you decided you wanted to do an old SNL episode that aired on your birthday.
Yeah. I figured, I don't know why. It just kind of popped in my head. I was like, I wonder if any SNL episodes ever aired on my birthday, and did a little research. Sure enough, it happened 5 times. So I just chose this episode that came out on my 20th birthday with Sting and Veruca Salt, March 15th, 1997, season 22.
From season 22, I think it's episode 15. I believe I looked that up.
Episode 15 on the 15th? What?
Yep. Episode 15 of season 22. And I looked up the episode on Peacock, and they had some interesting collection of hosts of that season. You want me to run down who the hosts were?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so episode 1, Tom Hanks, then Lisa Kudrow, Bill Pullman, Dana Carvey, Chris Rock, Robert Downey Jr., Phil Hartman, Martin Short.
Okay.
And my God, that's a long run of ex-cast members. That's like 5 ex-cast members in a row.
It is, yeah.
Then we break that combo with Rosie O'Donnell.
Okay.
Then Kevin Spacey. Then David Alan Grier. Then Neve Campbell. Then another ex-cast member, Chevy Chase. Alec Baldwin. Then the Sting episode we're talking about today. Then Mike Myers. So many ex-cast members.
Wow. What was
then
going
Rob
on?
Lowe, Pamela Anderson, John Goodman, and then finally they wrapped up the season with Jeff Goldblum.
That's a lot of strong hosts right there. I wonder why so many
solid hosts, man. Not as varied as we get today, but that sounds like a really strong season.
Yeah, I wonder why there were so many like ex-cast members. I know this is in 97, and I think it was like 95. That was the real stinkeroo season.
Well, 95 was the year Lorne kind of remade the whole show.
Right.
When he brought the people like Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry and them on. So
that's right. So maybe I'm thinking about 94.
Kind of in the early days of that.
Okay, so maybe I'm thinking about 94. That was like the real PU. So maybe
Yeah.
like they got the old cast members back to sort of rebuild in a way, get back to goodwill with the audiences.
Yeah, maybe Lauren was going with tried and true hosts to try to get fans to check out the new show. Maybe it was still in a precarious position at this time. I'm thinking I don't know what their ratings were like at this time. I don't know if it officially was considered to bounce back, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, because from what I heard, I do remember them saying that 90 was it 94, like that them saying that was the closest the show like legit almost got to being actually canceled.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, wow. So maybe that's it. Maybe they're just sort of padding the show just to make sure, hey, don't cancel us. We're still funny. We're good.
yeah. They probably Lauren likes bringing in ringers when he can, so I'm not
Okay.
too surprised that we had all those old hosts, or old cast members host. So yeah, I mean, what were you expecting for this one going in?
I don't know what was I was expecting. I know I just turned 20. I might have seen this the night it came out. Like on my 20th birthday, I don't think I'm pretty sure I wasn't out drinking and causing havoc out in the streets. Like I was
Right.
probably maybe had like a nice little Carvel ice cream cake and watch SNL and went to sleep. So
We are living up to the nerd's name here.
yeah, baby, give me some cookie puss and a new episode of SNL. That's a party, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what I knew this episode, this season was kind of a mix of some of the older cast members, like like Will Ferrell was still around, and um, Catan, and of course Sherry O'Terry and Molly Shannon. But like I think around this time, like Tracy Morgan was just coming in,
Hmm.
and so it was like a little bit of a transition. Norm was still around, of course, so it was like
Tim Meadows was still around.
Tim Meadows was still around. So
We have
Mark
folks like Anna Gasteyer,
Mark
uh,
McKinney was still
Mark
there.
McKinney. Yeah, this is still on his relatively brief tenure at the show.
Yeah. So like I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, I kind of chose this one because it was a few reasons. Because it's like in the '90s, we're Gen Xers, so that's like kind of in our wheelhouse.
True.
And yeah, it just seemed like an interesting episode to dive into. I don't remember much from it, so like rewatching
Yeah,
it.
there wasn't much I remembered from this one either, but I most likely watched it back in the day. I would have been let's see, it was 97, so I would have been in my third year at the Curate School. Um,
Ooh,
so I wasn't watching a whole lot of TV because I was pretty busy. But yeah, no, I
okay,
probably made the time to watch SNL that weekend.
okay. But yeah, overall, like I would say, yeah, I'm pretty glad we watched this episode. It's like it wasn't all perfect, but like I still, for the most part, most of this, pretty much worked for me. I'd say.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, it's SNL. It's always going to be hit and miss by its nature. Some stuff's going to work. Some stuff isn't.
Yeah.
Let's dive in. Let's figure out what works, what doesn't.
Yes. Let's because yeah, some does and some really doesn't, and some just kind of left my head scratching.
Because people need to know what works and what doesn't in this comedy show from 26 years ago.
That's right. We're the ones to tell them.
We're just the guys to do
That's right.
it.
If not us, who?
Yeah. So okay. So we got a political cold open with Daryl Hammond's President Bill Clinton addressing the nation. Apparently, this happened right after Clinton had hurt his knee and had surgery on it, which I don't remember at all. But apparently, that was a thing that it was in the news that week. So
Yeah. And of course, is around the time where all the Republicans are hating on Bill Clinton. They're talking about impeachment. They want to remove him.
yeah.
He's unfit to be a president.
Yes,
He's,
this
he's
was a period in time known as the 1990s.
yes, where Bill Clinton was unfit, but our last guy was fit, according to some people.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
let's less said about that, the
So
better.
yeah. So yeah, there was a lot of impeachment talk, and Clinton is like, okay, hey, you don't want to do this, and he like runs down the line, the order of secession, and he's like, hey, if I go, you know, that born some bitch Al Gore, he's going with me.
Yeah,
And we have Mark McKinney just do basically a walk on as Al Gore, which was kind
yeah.
of funny. He just comes on and is like, hi, I'm Al Gore. And then he walks off again.
Yeah. Then he mentions the other people who would replace him if he gets impeached. They mentioned Newt Gingrich.
Hmm.
They mentioned Strom Thurmond and show a picture of the Crypt Keeper.
Yep.
And of course, he mentions that if you rearrange the letters in Strom Thurmond, you get Trust No Mom RDH.
Right.
Like,
He's like, I don't know what that means, but that sounds bad.
yes.
Uh,
Mentioned Madeleine Albright.
yes.
Mentioned Robert Rubin. Then, of course, we have Chris Kattan come out as Robert Rubin.
I mean, of course. I mean, who else do you have play Secretary of the Treasury Robert Rubin? I mean,
Yeah, of course.
Chris Kattan is the natural choice.
Yeah, and of course he comes. I guess he. I barely remember Robert Rubin.
I
Like, I guess
don't
he's
remember Robert Rubin at all.
like they just make him as like a sort of a generic dorky nerdy guy. Like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons, and
Yeah, yeah. He's like,
you know,
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons is better than the original. Yay.
yeah. And of course they
Yeah.
had. You know, it wouldn't be complete if Bill Clinton wasn't taking some shots at Hillary for all her wrongdoings and
Yeah,
dealings with
I
China.
like how Hammond's Clinton is trying to sell Hillary down the river and saying like, "Oh yeah, she did all the heinous stuff that I'm accused of, and
Uh,
she was disguised as me when she did it." That was really cute, and I love. I mean, Daryl Hammond's Bill Clinton. I think that's one of the best SNL impressions ever. Certainly one of the best presidential impressions ever.
I would say so. I mean, the same way people say like the George W. Bush impression was kind of based off Will Ferrell's. Like I'd agree.
Mhm.
Like everybody's Bill Clinton impression is pretty much based off Daryl Hammond's.
Yeah, yeah, and it's probably one of the most accurate presidential impressions that we've had on SNL.
Yeah, like the way he does like bites his lower lip and does the
Mhm.
you know thumb point. It's like
Yeah, not it's not quite a thumbs up because that's too aggressive, but he does that little pointing without pointing where the thumb is just like sort of peeking up.
yeah, he could
it's
be
it's like a very debate squad kind of move.
yeah exactly. So later in the sketch, Clinton talks about like I dare you to try to impeach me. He admits to smoking a huge brick of hash and diving into an empty pool, which got a huge applause from the audience.
Yep.
And then we have Will Ferrell as Janet Reno crashing through the door like the Kool-Aid Man,
Right.
demanding that Bill make her president and putting him in a headlock.
Yeah, now I mean this is sort of an interesting contrast between like the two types of political impressions we see on SNL. We have, somebody like Daryl Hammond who's like just an impression machine who does like the super accurate, mildly exaggerated Bill Clinton. And then we have like Will Ferrell's Janet Reno, who is just like this bizarro characterization that bears very little relation to reality. He just
Yeah,
plays Reno as like the Incredible Hulk, basically.
yeah, just like I'm Janet Reno.
Yeah, which
just
which mainly is probably one of the more unkind impressions that we've seen on SNL. I think I
it's
don't
a
know
bit
if Janet Reno really deserved that, but it was
it,
funny.
it's a bit unflattering. I would say
Yeah.
it's right up there with Fred Armisen's uh, the Governor Patterson impression.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Where it was all just Borscht Belt jokes and blind jokes and
Yeah,
yeah,
David Patterson, right? If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah. That
Yeah,
was it. But I
that.
remember the real Janet Reno cameoing beside Will Ferrell once because he did Will Janet Reno's dance party, which is just another wonderfully absurd thing, and it ended with the two of them doing the twist together because I guess
Yeah,
that was the thing in back in Janet Reno's day. And
yeah, yeah.
I mean, a pretty good sport to agree to appear alongside that. I don't know if I want to say hurtful impression, but it was not a kind impression, you know?
it's not flattering. It's not.
No.
But I mean, you could maybe make the argument that it's sort of done with love, but I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
you could be like, oh, I keyed,
I mean,
but
I don't know if it's done maliciously. I don't know if I would say it's done with love. I mean, cuz it's
yeah,
basically I mean, the joke is basically like, "Oh, isn't she mannish?" So,
yeah. It's yikes. It's a tight rope to walk. It's mm,
yeah, yeah.
mm.
So, I don't know. I mean, I still find it funny, but yeah, I do still kind of think about the connotations of it, you know?
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently, this was the very first time that Janet Reno burst through a wall, though. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Groundbreaking.
So there you go. There you go.
Okay. And yeah, and then Janarino has Bill in a headlock, and of course, Daryl says "Live from New York" is Saturday night, and
Yeah.
yeah, then we're in, and we see the old intro, which is like, oh yeah, that takes me back. I remember those, the old black and white photos.
It's a classy looking intro. It's this typical SNL intro where the cast is just kind of partying, having a good time, and they all look like fun and approachable. And hey, yeah, we're cool.
Hey man, we're just hanging out in the city. You know how it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, cold open, not bad. I thought it was okay.
It was all right. It was all right. I mean, Daryl Hammond's Clinton was always, at the very least, solid, and they usually had some pretty funny stuff for him to say and do. So, yeah, it was fun revisiting that.
Absolutely. All right, monologue. Sting comes out. I thought Sting had hosted the show more times than he did, but it turns out this is the second time he hosted. The first time he was the host and musical guest. He did double duty. So this is his second time hosting, and I think he performed on the show like 5 times. Maybe that's
I mean, you probably think of him hosting as more than he did because he did a lot of cameos when he was the musical guest. I remember he was the musical guest on an episode Steve Martin hosted, and he appeared in a James Bond parody as Gold Sting.
Yes,
I remember him playing Billy Idol on the Sinatra Group.
Oh, that sketch is fantastic.
I mean, that's classic. And Sting, he's a pretty good actor. He's still in a bit of an acting career at this point. He doesn't act much these days, but
yeah, not really.
I've enjoyed him in the few things I've seen him in as an actor.
Dune, he was in Dune, right?
Yeah, Dune. He's in Quadrophenia. I remember I never saw it, but I remember he did that movie, The Bride, where he played Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh wow, I don't even remember that.
And he made an artificial woman played by Jennifer Beals.
Oh,
so
I don't think
I never saw it, but I have no idea if it's any good or not. But it is a thing that exists.
Okay, all right, I'll have to look into that.
So I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying it's a thing that happened at one point.
The words way you're talking about, you're kind of like, oh, you got to see The Bride, but you're just saying
I've literally never seen The Bride, so
I see.
Yeah,
I
just remember seeing the trailers.
Got it. Okay. Well, listeners, call in. Let us know if you've seen The Bride and your thoughts on it.
Yeah. And, I'll just mention this because I'm a comic geek and I think it's an interesting bit of trivia. He was the person that the comic character of John Constantine was modeled after.
Really? Ooh.
Yeah. You remember when we had Stephen Bissett on the show when we did 1941, because he did the comic book adaptation of that. He was the artist on Swamp Thing back in the day. He was the penciler, and John Toddleton was the inker. And both of them were fans of Sting and the Police, and they just decided we're going to draw Sting into as many issues as we can. And they just let the writer Alan Moore know we are going to draw Sting into as many issues as we can. So if you want to write a character that looks like Sting, that might be a thing you want to do. And so Alan Moore came up with the character of John Constantine, and that's where he came from. Wow. Basically just because these two guys wanted to draw Sting.
That was okay. That's a way to go about it.
Yeah. So of course when they make the Hellblazer movie, the Constantine movie, years and years later, who do they get to play the role? Keanu Reeves.
Yes, exactly. I still remember a lot of people saying, like, he doesn't look like Constantine at all. It was
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have a British accent, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he was American. But I mean, considering how Keanu Reeves sounded in Dracula, that's probably for the best.
Yeah, I even haven't seen Dracula, but I know Keanu Reeves was not very good in Dracula.
He did not nail the accent in that movie. I will just say that. Like, anyway, Sting's hosting.
Wow, what a tangent. What a tangent.
He comes out and he does the monologue, and
Yeah, he talks
He
about
talks about how he's working to save the rainforest and all that, and then they bring out Chris Kattan's character, Mr. Peepers.
yeah, they talk about like how, like you said, saving the rainforest and one of the creatures from there, Mr. Peepers. Like for those that don't know, Mr. Peepers, it's basically Chris Kattan playing this kind of like monkey boy character, I guess. Like
Weird
and
monkey boy. He's got like the fake ears. He's got like fake teeth, and honestly, I'm impressed that they were able to make Chris Kattan over into Mr. Peepers so quickly because he had like a brief bit in the cold open, so not too
yeah,
much time to change into this. But
yes, he was the iconic Robert Rubin. Who could forget him?
right. So
Yeah, so Will Ferrell carries him out, Mr. Peepers, and Chris Kattan does this thing that still I think is pretty impressive, where like Will Ferrell's carrying him out like somebody would carry like a chimpanzee. So he's up on Will Ferrell, arms around his shoulders, and then at one point Chris Kattan like drops his arms and he's hanging from Will Ferrell's waist by his legs.
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow, that is. I mean, I was never a huge fan of Mr. Peepers back in the day because I thought, I don't know, part of me thought it was
little goes a long way.
Yeah, I thought it was like, oh, it's kind of low hanging fruit. But like, I look at it now, I still think it's a little low hanging fruit. But I will admit the physicality that Chris Kattan goes through that is pretty impressive. I mean,
I was always impressed with he did that thing with the apple where they hand him a whole apple and he would just like run it through like he's eating corn on the cob, but he just like run it through so fast and he devoured this apple in seconds. I mean, I don't think he's really eating it. He's more just like tearing it apart with his mouth, but it looks like how a wild animal would eat an apple. And here he like goes into the audience and he's like humping people in the audience.
Yeah, that was wow. You must have to sign a waiver or something before
he's going out there. He's spraying apples on people, and
he's like legit like humping and licking people on the faces who did not know that was going to happen that night.
Yeah, I'm guessing probably not as many people get licked by cast members when they go to see SNL these days.
Yeah, I know. I miss the '70s too, John.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I will give Chris Kattan this. The man throws himself into it.
He does. He gives it his all. I will give him that. And then of course he's humping Sting and just blowing farts into his face, and I think at one point he's like kind of makes some animal noise. Then Sting says, "Oh no, he's just saying his favorite song is The King of Pain."
Yeah. So,
and then that's
he was
pretty
a good
much
sport for this. Yeah.
Yeah, and, then he just ends with him dry humping Sting, and he says, like, "Hey, we got a great show."
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's all physical. It's pretty.
I mean, it's not really a monologue from Sting. It's basically just hijacking his monologue. So we have a Mr. Peepers appearance. So I guess he was popular enough that we're like, let's put him at the top of the show.
He must have been. I remember he was pretty popular. I mean, I don't know if he was, Mango popular or what else? What other physical things? Oh, the Butabi brothers popular. But I remember Mr. Peepers was pretty popular. I mean, I remember when I think when Dwayne The Rock Johnson hosted, they did a thing together, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. was Rock also a Mr. Peepers thing?
Yeah, he was Papa Peepers, or like his father.
Okay.
Or something
that sounds vaguely familiar. I vaguely remember that. Not going to Google it.
Okay.
Not going to look it up on the YouTube. I mean, I saw this Mr. Peepers sketch. I'm good for at least 5 years, I think.
Yeah, I will admit, it a little goes a long way. It is.
Yeah.
Like, once you explain it, you pretty much get the whole entire.
Once you've seen a Mr. Peepers sketch, you've pretty much seen all the Mr. Peepers sketches.
Yes. Chris Kattan acts like a monkey and just humps everybody's
Not a
face.
real nuanced character is what we're
saying. There's no symbolism or depth to it.
I don't think so. No, I think it's just about scampering on people, licking them, humping them, and devouring apples.
No, but you see, John, when he humps Sting, he's actually talking about how the bourgeoisie is humping the common man. You got to read between the lines,
speaking
man.
Of the bourgeoisie and the common man, our first step is Evita with with Norm Macdonald playing Juan Perón.
The role he was born to play.
Yeah. I mean, because when I think Evita, I think Norm Macdonald, and then we have Anna Gasteyer as Eva Perón, and they're doing the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Evita, and she does the whole "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" song, and then much like the famous West Side Story sketch, Norm Macdonald goes, What the hell is that? You were singing."
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I guess I was. Oh yeah." I did not
Uh,
remember this at all.
I didn't remember it either. I mean, it seems like it's pretty much like a retread of the Cobra and Snakes, or the West Side Story
The
sketch.
Cobras and the Panthers. The
Cobras
Cobras and
and
the
Panthers.
Panthers. Yes, the West Side
Right.
Story parody from the Robert Downey Jr. episode. Highly recommend that sketch. Much funnier than this sketch.
Yeah. I mean, this
Um,
one pretty much hits the same beats where it's like
yeah,
everybody breaks out in the song. Anna
right.
Gasteyer actually has a really nice singing voice, and I believe
She's a good
she's
singer. Yes. Yeah.
yeah. I think she has like kind of studied to be a singer. I think she really has. I know like she really loves music and she does perform quite a bit. I think she has some albums out too.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like I think she does like some cabaret thing on tour, which she actually sings now. Actually,
Okay. Cool.
but yeah, so it's basically that. It's where everybody kind of breaks out in the song, singing the songs from Evita, and Norm Macdonald or Juan Perón is the only one who just doesn't understand why everybody's doing
Yeah.
this.
He's just like, "What's going on here?" And yeah, and Sting's in there too. We don't have Sting singing too much in this sketch, surprisingly.
Yeah, not enough
He sings a
singing.
little bit, but not as much as Evita.
Yeah, that's true. And as the sketch goes on, we see like the guards are getting into it too. They're doing like some background choreography. I think I did get a kick out of this at one point where one of the guards, played by Chris Kattan, which again
Yeah,
is crazy. He was just in the monologue. Now he's in the first sketch.
right,
Like he does like some little dance number, and he ends up sitting on the balcony, and then Norm just pushes him over.
right,
Which, like,
right.
if you
Which
knew,
which is funny. And then at the end of the sketch, Norm goes over the balcony himself, but he doesn't. He forgets to like duck out of the shot, so he just like immediately pops up again at the bottom of the screen.
yeah, it really looks like he just hopped down. It's like, oh wait, oh, I'm still on the camera.
Yeah, because he literally just hops like 2 feet off. Because they didn't elevate this balcony at all.
Nope.
So it just really kills the illusion. And then Norm is like, "Oh right, I was supposed to duck down," and then he just sort of crouches. I mean, it's funny in how wrong it goes.
Yeah. Never change, Norm. Never change.
and,
R.I.P.
and Norm only like half gives a shit. So eventually he just sort of like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna scamper off stage."
We done? We done? All right, we go. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
First sketch. Yeah, it does. It is basically a retread of the Cobra and Panther, so
yeah,
it's
but
okay.
much less funny, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I got the biggest laugh I got was Norm's goof up at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, that was absolutely the funniest thing in this sketch.
Absolutely. All
All
right.
right.
Uh,
Next, the Nude Crusade.
yeah.
This I understand was a Jack Handy sketch, which kind of makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah, it definitely has the markings of a Jack Handy sketch, especially when it begins with the saying that it's the show, which is the Crusades show, is brought to you by H&R Blockhead. We'll do your
Yeah,
taxes totally wrong as a joke.
yeah, and
And
also friends of Daniel P. Myers' cryogenically frozen head because they're trying to raise money to keep his head cryogenically frozen. It seems like a worthy cause.
yeah,
Yeah.
I see nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
What do we? Okay, so this is like during the Crusades. We
Yes,
got Sting
Rome.
playing a cardinal.
Yes, Rome, 1127 A.D.
Right, right, and Mark McKinney is the king, I guess. Yeah,
Yes, he is the king. Sting is the cardinal,
right.
and he he's meeting with some people who would like to do a crusade to the Holy Land, and the Crusaders want to do a nude crusade where
Right.
they spread the
But they're
word
not
about
nude in the sketch. They're wearing like basically like potato sacks.
right because they made them wear some type of clothing because they can't show up
Right.
in front of the king
And it's
nude.
Will Ferrell, Chris Kattan, and Anna Gasteyer. This is, I mean, this episode. It's a real artifact of the era when like Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan were basically like comedy partners. They hadn't had their falling out yet.
Yeah, and also Chris Kattan is in another sketch. He's been in like the whole first half so far. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of Chris Kattan in this.
A lot of Kattan.
So it's basically them just explaining to the king and the cardinal why they would like to be naked.
Yes, because
And
they want to spread the word of the Lord, as God said, "This is my body. Now show me yours."
yeah, they weren't getting a lot of laughs in this one. I will just say it right now.
It is a
It's
bit
not
of
going
a
over great.
it is kind of a I don't want to say heavy concept, but it is. There's a lot to it. I think because I don't
There's a
know.
lot, yeah. There's a lot of backstory to this, and
Yeah,
yeah, the biggest reaction is at the end when Sting is like, "Hey, yes, I'm going to join in on this," and he whips off his cardinal robes and he's wearing like a red speedo. So
yeah. Ooh, the
if you
bulge.
want to see 1997 Sting in a red speedo, this is the episode of SNL for you.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought the sketch was interesting, but I don't know. There was a lot to it. It was Monty. It was a little Monty Python esque. That's in some parts. I felt
I didn't
like
get a big Monty Python vibe outside of the costuming.
well, I mean, I thought there was one point where Will Ferrell was trying to bargain with the king, saying, "Well, if we can't, go on our crusade nude, could we wear flesh colored armor with painted on nipples and pubic hair?"
I guess
I was
that's a
like,
little Python-esque.
little
Yeah,
bit,
I
yeah,
suppose.
but
I don't know. This one didn't really do much of anything for me.
I thought, yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting concept, but there was a lot to it. It was a little, it
I
wasn't
think
as simple.
I think the last thing you want somebody to say about your comedy sketches, interesting. I don't feel like that's any kind of praise. You want them to say funny. You want them to say that was hilarious. You don't want them to say that was interesting.
Oh, yeah,
That just means it wasn't funny.
I saw your comedy set. It was intriguing.
It was interesting. Oh yeah,
Hmm. You really,
it was funny. It was interesting.
it really caught my interest.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure about laughter, but it caught my interest.
yeah. Well, I mean, mostly the Sting and a speedo part, but
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was that. I part of me feel like they threw that in there because they knew, oh, this sketch might be too much for people, so let's just show them Sting's package just as a
yep.
precaution. This is our in case of emergency.
I mean, I don't blame them for pulling that ripcord.
Yeah,
It had something that the audience could react to in a big way. So yay.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like we're losing them. Sting, quick, take off the rope.
Yep.
Uh,
So
so next up, the laid back neutral MCs.
yeah, this is back in the days of the East Coast West Coast rap war, and we got Tracy Morgan and Tim Meadows playing two MCs who are they're not picking sides. They think both the East Coast and the West Coast are great.
Yeah, they have songs like "Let's Learn a Lesson from the Swiss" and
Yeah.
"I'm a Coward" and "You're right, sir, I am a punk."
John
And
Lennon had some really good ideas. You don't like John Lennon? Me neither.
"You're right, my mother is ugly."
Yeah. That's okay. You can have my parking space. As a matter of fact, you can have my car. I like the idea of this more than the execution, honestly.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, well, for one thing, it's always I don't know. I always kind of get a chuckle out of this era of SNL because this was like the height of gangster rap was
Right.
happening, and like whenever they wanted to do a sketch about gangster rap, they always had to get Tim Meadows to do it because he was like the only black guy on the show. So I don't.
Right.
When you think of gangster rap, you really don't think of Tim Meadows. And every time he tried to do it, I was like, you're not quite pulling it off.
It's not quite in his wheelhouse. No,
Yeah,
probably
like,
not.
hey y'all, what it is? I was like,
Yeah, it's
oh,
a little more of a Tracy Morgan thing, but yeah, Tracy Morgan, he isn't quite Tracy Morgan yet in this, you know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is like the early days of Tracy Morgan, where he's not going full whole hog Tracy Morgan. So
He's not full Tracy Morgan yet, you
he
know?
ain't there yet.
I feel like if we got like Tracy Morgan 3 years from this episode, he could have been a little stronger in this, but yeah, it's not quite there. I think it's a solid idea of like a rap duo who doesn't want to pick sides. I think that's a funny concept, but yeah,
Yeah, and then fortunately, like it was a pretty short sketch. I think even the writers
true.
knew when they were doing this. They were like, there's not much meat on the bone here, so let's just get in and get out before people realize
I
this is
mean,
sketching.
realistically, they probably didn't have a whole lot of black writers at this point in time, honestly.
Yeah, that too. It's probably just
So it's probably like Tracy and Tim explain the East Coast West Coast rap wars to the writers. The writers try to write something and like why do they object? Whoa, they're cowards. That's it.
Hey Tracy, Tim, can you explain rap to us? No, we got some time.
Yeah. And then these Harvard guys try to run. Yeah. I think that might be a funnier sketch. Tracy and Tim explain rap music to SNL writers. Let's see that sketch.
Yeah. Hip hop, you say? Okay. So you just like talk to the rhythm?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Not all it could be, I would say.
Yeah. Not interesting concept, but yeah, I don't think they got too much out of it.
Points for trying, I guess.
Yeah. Gold star.
Next, we have the Shopping at Home Network. Which,
yes.
As you might imagine, parody the Home Shopping Network.
Yes. This one has Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan once again. Jesus, he is working overtime.
I mean, they're the inseparable duo at this point. They haven't had the falling out after the Batabi brothers movie, the Night of the Roxbury.
Yeah,
that still lays in their future.
That's right. This is the better times, the good times.
Yeah, and if you're curious about that, we go into it all in our episode about Night of the Roxbury. That was somewhere in the first year of this podcast. But yeah, Chris Kattan talked all about it in his biography, and they basically came out of that movie not being friends anymore.
Yeah, that movie. No, there were no winners in that movie.
There were no winners in that movie. No.
The cast, the crew, the audience, the box office, nobody won.
Yeah, nobody won. So, and this, though, they're still bosom buddies. They're doing a Star Wars themed home shopping network thing.
They were selling Star Wars related merch, including a Jawa ashtray, which is sold out, and they also have some Star Wars baseball cards, like Chewbacca, if he played for the Brewers.
Yeah, which that's a funny visual, just Chewbacca in a baseball card, in a baseball uniform. That's funny.
Yeah, but their big selling thing that they're doing now is they kidnapped and held at gunpoint Mark Hamill, and they're selling him on the network. They bring him out, and ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a cameo from Mr. Mark Hamill.
The real Mark Hamill made a cameo. Yeah, I vaguely remembered the sketch because of the Mark Hamill cameo. And they're selling him for $80,000, which seems like a steal, honestly. That's a good price for a Mark Hamill.
Shop around. You're not going to get a better price than that.
You're not going to get a better price on the Mark Hamill. It's a one-of-a-kind item, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
And I like the throwaway line. Last year we sold a Hamill who turned out to be a Bruce Boxleitner, which... That's funny.
I had to look that up. Like, Bruce Boxleitner?
You don't know who Bruce Boxleitner is?
I looked it up. It was like, oh yeah, he was in Tron. And
he's the star of Tron. He was also, at the time of the sketch, he was still doing Babylon 5.
Oh
So yeah,
wow,
big sci-fi following for Mr. Bruce Boxleitner. You might also remember him from his '80s show with Kate Jackson, Scarecrow and Mrs. King, which
damn.
I never really watched much of. But I know he was like a spy who was codenamed Scarecrow, and for some reason he needed a housewife to go on his spy missions with him.
Okay, wow. Okay, that sounds
I can see
about
that
right.
happening once, but every week seems like a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I don't think I saw the Scarecrow of Mr. King. It sounded like one of those. It seemed like for a while in the '80s they were doing like those two duos that go
Yeah,
out and solve missions, like Heart to Heart and Simon and Simon.
and
You know,
moonlighting, and yeah,
yeah,
yeah, Remington Steele. They had a lot
yeah,
of mismatched duos solving mysteries in the '80s.
yeah.
That was a big thing then.
Like he's a blah blah blah, she's a blah blah blah. When but they're going
Exactly.
out and can these two keep it together to solve the
Right.
mystery of the blah blah blah?
So anyway, that's what Bruce Boxleitner was doing back in the '80s.
Yes,
Um,
good stuff.
between Tron and Babylon 5, that's how Bruce Boxleitner was spending his time. I have no idea if Scarecrow and Mrs. King was any good or not. It ran a few years, as I recall, so maybe it was good. Or maybe it was bad and people just had horrible taste in the '80s. It could
Got
go
it.
either way. I
Um,
don't know.
sounds like you
Folks,
think.
write in. Let us know what you thought of Scarecrow and Mrs. King. If you
Sounds
remember
like
Scarecrow and Mrs.
sounds like you think it's as good as Bride.
Right.
Okay, but I did
So
like that Bruce Boxleitner line. It seems like something like a sort of a
yeah.
I want to say like maybe like a deep cut type of thing. Like only the true nerds will understand this reference.
I mean, it's such a random line, and I just like the the specific using a specific actor like Bruce Boxleitner. That makes it all the funnier. Um, yeah, but they're also talking about how it's so easy to care for your Mark Hamill because he just can live in the basement. He lives mainly on bread and apples, which sounds very reasonable.
Yeah, you
Sounds
could
easy to
ask.
feed.
Yeah, it's like you can ask some questions like, "Hey, Luke, is C3PO gay?" Or
And no, he's a droid
"What's it like working with Yoda?" It's like he's a puppet of the
of the Empire.
Empire. That was
Yeah,
that was a funny line. I'll give him that.
that was funny. That was funny. And they have him doing lines for movies, but mostly it's like lines that he didn't even say in the Star Wars movies. At one point, they have him say, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning."
Yeah, yeah. Now say sit on it like Fonzie.
Yeah, yeah. And eventually, he's bought by. It's supposed to be Harrison Ford over the phone, but it's. I got to say, it's not a great Harrison Ford impression. Daryl Hammond did not have a good Harrison Ford in his repertoire, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, that actually did I guess he just figured, oh, I'll just do a grizzled old man voice, and
Yeah,
that's pretty much Harrison Ford. Just grumble,
yeah,
grumble, grumble.
yeah. I don't know. I don't think of Harrison Ford as the toughest impression in the world,
Mm. Yeah,
yeah, he seemed to be stumping Daryl Hammond.
yeah.
So
Unfortunate.
unfortunate. But hey, Mark Hamill, what a hell of a good sport he is, and
Yeah,
he's fun to catch.
yeah. This was a fun one, and they end up selling Mark Hamill to Harrison Ford, and then next up they have Kenny Baker for sale.
Who I believe they're only asking 3,000 for Kenny Baker. Again, sounds like a great deal,
I mean, folks, shop around. You're not going to find a better price than that.
especially now.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, this sketch, I liked it. I got a kick out of it.
Yeah, yeah, funny stuff. Funny stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Catan, high energy, does a lot of screaming. Will Ferrell meets him right there with the same energy. Just
hmm
the two of them back and forth, bam, bam, bam. This premise is just ridiculous enough to work for me. Thumbs up.
Yeah, yeah, I like this. Probably sketch of the night for me.
Oh yeah, I'll give it that. Sketch of the night.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Next,
Uh,
now this one. Mm-hmm.
this one right up your alley, right?
Yeah. No. Like this is one of the sketches where I saw. I mean, it's up on YouTube, and I saw like the thumbnail of it, and as soon as
Uh-huh.
just looking at the thumbnail, I was like, "Oh, is this a mistake? Wanting to do this sketch, this episode?" Uh, Rolf in the KKK.
Yeah. I'd kind of forgotten that Colin Quinn had any characters, but he did. He had a character named Rolf,
That's
who
true.
they used a few times apparently, and he was, I mean, not the greatest recurring character. He was kind of.
Not really. Kind of annoying. Not really having uh,
Thank you,
a thing to grab
thank you.
onto.
Yeah, thank you. And if you don't remember Rolf, that was basically Rolf. What we just did there.
Yeah, and scene.
He's at a loss for the right adjective. Somebody else gives him the right adjective, and he goes, "Thank you."
Yeah,
Kind
I
of
mean,
funny-ish, I guess. I think it's in hailing distance of funny. Not
yeah,
my fave, but
it's interesting. Like, so
it's
basically in this,
okay.
one, it's Jim Brewer, Colin Quinn, and Sting playing KKK members coming back from a big meeting from, I guess, the Grand Wizard.
Yeah.
Jim Brewer's all pumped up, saying what a great speech that was, and Colin Quinn is
I'm just
like,
going to say it. Jim Brewer, a little too convincing as a KKK member.
I mean, have you seen his videos lately?
I have, and I'm
Mm,
like, yeah, I can picture this a little too easily.
he is from Long Island. Oh boy,
Yeah, I'm just like, somehow this fits.
yeah, it
Colin
all,
Quinn and Sting, not so much. But
yeah,
Jim Brewer, I'm like, yeah, this
yeah.
is a little too on the nose.
It's the role he was born to play. Yes. Yeah, Rolf kind of comes in being saying, "Oh yeah, no, I love the Grand Wizard," but his speeches about Zionist government can be a little, X Files. Thank you. Like he
Mhm.
seems to be very kind of critical and critiquing of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
speeches.
Little. Apparently, their grand wizard is very prone to the conspiracy theories, which I mean, usually people in the KKK so rational.
Yeah, they're very level headed, and you can have
They
a
make a
rash.
lot of good points. I'm just going to say it. Um,
Oh boy, John, oh boy.
what did I go too far?
Ah, we here at Not Productive do not, condone anything said by John Trumbull or anybody else.
I look. I'm not saying which points were the good points.
Okay, I think. All right, I think that'll work.
Yeah,
We'll
I'm
have we'll
walking
have
it back.
our legal team look into that. I think we
Yeah.
dodged that bullet.
But somehow in this we get off on a tangent about Sting's music. So we have Sting kind of in character defending his solo work.
Yeah, that was the weird thing because like I think it goes into Rolf critiquing like why they always have banjo players at this meeting, aren't they a little
Oh right,
self?
yeah. Can't we have other types of music?
Yeah,
And then they get off. They go off on this tangent about Sting, and it's like, well, all the activism. It's a little too Bono. Thank you.
no, I think he says Bono. No, no, more like
Oh yeah,
Michael's.
and then it's
Like
like, oh, Michael Stipe. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
yeah, so like yeah, them kind of diverting from the KKK to Sting and kind of poking fun at him. I was like, oh, that's a interesting twist. Um,
It was a funny thing. It seemed like a weird fit for this sketch, you know?
it did. Yeah, it definitely kind of. I don't know. I kind of would have wanted them to sort of stay on the KKK stuff and just like sort of take the piss out of them, but then they kind of maybe they thought that would be too heavy or the audience would be weird about it, so they decided to make
The
fun
audience
of.
wouldn't be 100% on board with taking the piss out of the KKK.
It's New
You
York
think that was
City.
the concern?
Yeah, it's New York City. It's not Alabama, John. But yeah, and and at the end, Jim Brewer gets upset with both of them, and he's so upset with them, he quits the KKK and leaves. And then, of course, they say, "Oh, he seems to have a bit of a David Duke complex." Thank you,
Yeah.
and that's it. It's an
Like
interesting.
I totally forgotten that this was a recurring character in the show.
I kind of like. I can sort of understand where Colin Quinn is coming from. This does seem like a character that maybe he talked to at some point. Like I've seen a few people in my life that sort of had this characters, especially in the late '90s, where they were like,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, "Oh, thank you, exactly. You get what I'm trying to say." That type of
It's
thing.
a cute idea. It's a cute idea. I don't know if I want to see a half dozen sketches of this, but
Yeah,
it's cute once or twice.
yeah. It's a cute idea. It's an interesting thing that he noticed that some people do. I don't know if it's strong enough to carry a sketch.
Yeah, I don't know if it's continuing character good.
Yeah, exactly. It's more like maybe a side character even. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, this is weird to have the weekend update before the musical guest, but that's
Yeah, I don't know if it was in the version that we watched, they had Weekend Update before Veruca Salt performs as the musical guest, which is not how the show typically does it. And I wonder if that's just unique to this thing that we watched, or if that's how it was actually ordered in the show.
I believe that's how it aired. It was still pretty interesting, but
That's
yeah,
weird. That's
it's a,
just that's just weird. That's just madness.
that ain't right.
What the hell? What the holy hand grenade is going on there?
Holy underwear.
I don't. That's just weird.
That ain't how.
Weird.
Not my SNL.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a weekend update with Norm. Yeah.
With Norm Macdonald.
Yeah. Shockingly, we got some O.J. Simpson jokes too. I was like, what?
O.J. Simpson jokes in 1997.
He's switching things up.
He kept on that horse, man.
he beat that horse into the ground.
Yeah.
And then some.
He talks about O.J. Simpson. He's got the note to self thing. He does that like 3 times during this weekend update, I think. And it does get funnier each time he does it.
The first time, like, I don't think it got any laughs because he was like, I think he was talking about a story about how in Fairbanks, Alaska, like the police will, if you make calls to 911, the police will, give the police will get your name and number from them, and then he says, notes to self: do not make prank calls in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Yeah,
pretty quiet.
Yeah,
and then he just fumbles to put the phone in his pocket.
Yeah.
But I did like this one joke he had about the execution in North Carolina, where he's talking about how there's a bill that passed for murder victims' families to get front row seats to see the execution of the murderer that that affected their family, and this is upsetting to people who oppose execution, and also upsetting to season ticket holders of executions.
Yeah. It's a cute joke.
That was not bad. I thought it was all right. Oh, there we go.
We also have Colin Quinn coming on to do a death segment. Colin Quinn all over this episode too.
Yeah,
pretty Colin Quinn heavy episode.
He was a feature at this point too.
Yeah, I know. He was the only feature on the show, which is kind of odd. He comes on since we're like just a couple days before St. Patrick's Day, as this show is airing. He comes on to talk about St. Patrick's Day, and the joke is, it kind of takes a while for the joke to become obvious. The joke is supposed to be that Colin is drunk, but he's not like an exaggerated drunk. He's much more subtly drunk, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's like he the way Colin plays it, I think was very interesting. It's like it's like you said, it's not like a cartoonishly over the top drunk person. It's more like kind of quiet, simmering. He might punch me.
Story drunk.
Yeah, or like he might knock me out if I say the wrong thing drunk. Like almost unsettling type of drunk.
Yeah.
But he was still playing it off pretty funny. Like he came out with a cup full of ice, and he accidentally spills the ice on the table, and no one's like, "Oh, okay, yeah." It's like, "What? It's a mistake. You don't make mistakes, Mr. Funny Man Norm." Like, hey, I was a comedian way long before you were. I was on remote control.
Yeah, and that gets an applause break because the audience still remembers remote control at this point.
Remote control is fantastic. It's one of the best game shows on MTV, or was. I was a huge fan of remote control. I'm not saying
it was bad. I'm just saying I don't think a lot of people remember remote control anymore.
Yeah, that's true. But still, it's. I was a huge remote control fan. When he said that, like I beamed with pride.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it definitely becomes more awkward, but like a kind of funny. I think at some points, Quinn mentions Lorne and Jim Downey. Mm-hmm. You guys are gonna say I have a problem, and then Quinn is escorted off by the security guards.
two huge security guards. They got some really burly dudes to play the security guards.
Yeah, and it's just basically ends with Quinn calling Norm Bush League. Your Bush League,
Yeah,
Norm. Your Bush League.
yeah, yeah.
It was it was a choice. It was a choice.
It was interesting. It didn't blow me away, but it's a little more weird than funny, I suppose.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where it's so subtle, it's not that funny. It's like
Yeah,
maybe he's like he almost kind of played it maybe a little too real, I guess.
maybe, yeah,
But yeah, it was like okay. Then we have another death segment. We have Sherry O'Terry. We finally seeing Sherry O'Terry this night. Uh, she
yeah.
comes she comes out as Annie because Norm talks about the story where the most recent actress that played Annie on Broadway was fired, and they hired a younger Annie.
Right. She was replaced by her understudy. I think the Annie they fired was like 12, and the understudy was 8. So
Right, exactly. So then they bring on Sherry O'Terry as the fired Annie, and of course she still has the big smile on. She'll dress as Annie. Say she still kind of insists that she's Annie, and she's a little delusional.
red wig, red dress,
Exactly,
the whole deal.
the whole enchilada. She talks about her dog Sandy. Brings out a toy pig. That's tries to feed the toy pig a dog biscuit, and it's very obvious she's kind of has a loose grip on her sanity.
Yeah, yeah. And then we've got a remote with Anna as the replacement Annie, Anna Gasteyer. And at this point I'm feeling like this thing's running a little long.
A, a little, I guess I could see it because like
I,
then we.
I felt like they spent a little more time on the Annie thing than they needed to.
Hmm. Um. Yeah, I guess I could see that because at this point we see Anna Gasteyer, the new Annie, singing to the old Annie. And of course, this is Anna's second song of the night, where she, of course, sings, "Tomorrow, Tomorrow, I Love You Tomorrow." And while this is happening, Sherry O'Terry is having a full-on meltdown. Takes off her wig, smears her lipstick, has a cigarette in her mouth somehow
Mm-hmm.
from nowhere, starts stabbing the toy pig, and before you know, she's brandishing a gun everywhere and and gets carried away by the security guards.
Yeah, same two we saw before. I like the security guard callback.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I don't know. This one, well, I don't. No, this wasn't the only time we saw Sherry, but I always get a kick out of Sherry O'Terry. I'm one of those people who thought, like, oh, I kind of wish she had like a bigger career after this show. Like she did,
uh-huh.
because like she really did, play it big and was like a really like physical performer, really good performer. So like I always, because of Sherry Terry, I always give her a pass. But like I see what you mean by this.
We get it. You love Sherry O'Terry. You should just
No,
marry her.
no, I don't even like her like that. Stop.
Yeah, whatever. You want to be Mr. Sherry O'Terry.
No, no, I don't. Stop.
You
Oh,
love her.
no, I don't. Oh my god. Wait, is there anything about?
Yes. Yes, she said stuff about you.
Ooh. Okay, we'll talk after the podcast.
We'll talk later. We'll talk
Okay.
later.
Okay. And but yeah, I see what you mean. This may have gone on a little too long, but I don't know. I mean, she got dragged away by the security guard at the end. That's a great
Yeah,
capper.
yeah.
And then we got this part of Weekend Update where the interesting bit of a kerfuffle that happened here, a little technical snafu.
Big technical screw up. I mean,
The biggest.
Norm like turns to the other camera to start delivering a joke, but it stays on the main camera. So we're seeing Norm in like a 3/4 view.
Yeah, it like cuts to black at some point, and like they switch cameras.
Yeah, and Norm at one point he looks at somebody off camera and he just goes, "Hey, this joke might be better on this camera here," with just kind of the unspoken, how we rehearsed it.
Yeah, yeah. Like Norm is just playing it fast and loose. Like he's not even, like he's just like,
Yeah.
there's almost like a
And then
rehearsal to
finally
him.
they cut to the camera he's supposed to be on, apparently. And then he says, well, hey, now that I'm on this camera, we should maybe have the cue cards over here.
Yeah, how about that? We have the cue cut over here,
And Norm just doesn't give an F.
Yeah, and then he's like, no, it's okay. I'll just make it up.
Yeah, yeah. He just rolls with it. It's kind of funny because I mean it's very rare to see an on-air screw up on SNL, and we've had like 2 already in this episode, both involving Norm. I don't know if that says anything, but it probably says something. Yeah,
I think it says everything. And I think at the very end, he gets the joke out, and he's like, "Oh, imagine if that had all gone well." Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Because after all that, he gets the joke out, and the joke doesn't have a great reception, and he's just like, "Yeah, well, imagine if that went well."
Might have been better, huh? And that's Weekend Update. Not too bad. Not too bad. Highs and lows as always, but overall, all right. We got there. We got there.
we got it. We got to the end.
Yes. That's how. Yeah. I mean, that's how I treat this podcast. Like, we got there. We got to the end.
We got to the end. It wasn't pretty, but we got there.
That's right. That's a success to me.
Our musical guest for the week. We got Veruca Salt doing their song Shutterbug, and wow, this is super 90s.
It's the most 90s thing I've seen in a while.
It's so 90s. We got like 2 pretty ladies. They're leading the band. One's in a belly shirt.
Woo!
They've got like real heavy bass and guitars on the song.
Shiny pants. Shiny colorful pants.
Are a little flared because we got a bit of that 70s revival going on still.
Yeah, I mean, were you into Veruca Salt at all? I know they kind of had maybe like, I guess, what would you say, like a Riot Girl, like a Liz Phair, Bikini Kill.
A little bit. I mean, they're a little more glam than the Riot Girl thing.
Yeah.
But I don't remember being big into Veruca Salt. I never bought one of their albums, and I mean, I knew they were a thing, but could I name one of their songs? Probably not.
I think the biggest.
I didn't really remember this song, so
okay. I think the biggest hit they had was a Seether. I think if you hear that, you're like,
yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Seether sounds familiar. I think I would probably recognize the song Seether.
Yeah. Can't fight the Seether. Like that one.
Yes.
I'm sure
that sounds familiar.
I'm pretty sure they played it on some CW show back in the day.
Yeah. And it was mastered just a little too loud, and it's drowning out the dialogue, and you're like, I can't hear what Dawson and Joey are saying.
I want to know if they make it.
Yeah. Is Pacey coming between them again? What's going on? And who is Michelle Williams' character?
I did not watch Dawson's Creek. I can't help you. I'm sorry. I'm just yes-anding you up to this point. This is
Jennifer. She played Jennifer. That was it.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. I know our friend Rini Naden, who is listening to this, possibly. If she heard this, she is very proud of me for naming all 4 of the characters right now.
She's beaming with pride as we speak.
You're welcome.
But yeah, overall, I thought this was a pretty cool performance. I probably liked it just because it was just so damn retro. I will admit
it feels very retro at this point, like 25 years on. It's just like, oh, wow. I mean, back in 1997, this was just what it was. This is what music was. And now it's just kind of like, oh, this is kind of nostalgic now.
It's like, oh, yeah, I remember this. Oh.
You remember when women in bands dressed like that?
Yeah.
See-through belly shirt, and I don't know if it's like a patch on the shirt or if they're like pasties underneath or something, but I don't know. It's very tantalizing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I did not remember the ladies in Veruca Salt being so becoming. And there's a cowboy in the group for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. I think Cowboy Hats made a bit of a comeback in the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they did. The guy on the drums is just wailing away.
Yeah. Oof. My God. It's college all over again, baby.
They're named after an obscure character from Willy Wonka. It's just so 90s. It's
Oh,
wonderful.
it's fantastic, guys. Put on your Jinko jeans and get your puka shell necklace. We're gonna party, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it was a fun kind of trip down memory lane.
absolutely. Yeah. So next sketch, all live sketches, no pre-tapes. I thought was interesting too.
That's true. That's a good point. They weren't as dependent on pre-tapes back in this
Yeah,
era.
yeah.
Another thing I noticed, just to backtrack a little bit, and in Weekend Update, they didn't have as great of a graphics game. They were usually just showing pictures of literal headlines and news articles
Oh
on
yeah,
the screen behind them. I was just like, man, these days they'd have like a picture or something, but
yeah.
no, they're just show it. They're literally just showing headlines.
They like it's literally like a Xerox copy of it from the newspaper, and just like
Yeah.
put it up there.
Yep. Yep. I guess, I mean, Google wasn't quite a thing yet, so I guess it was harder to come across those. So,
I guess so,
yeah.
but still.
Anyway, next sketch, The Brendan Boyle Show. In case you'd forgotten, it was March 15th. It's another St. Patrick's Day themed sketch.
Yes, Erin Gobra.
Uh,
Uh,
with Colin Quinn hosting in full leprechaun regalia, everybody in the audience dressed like a leprechaun, and Sting dressed as a leprechaun, and he's a master of the limerick, is what they said.
yeah, the show is basically a show for leprechauns by leprechauns. Colin Quinn
And
starts.
people who care about
People
leprechauns.
who care. I apologize. It's the most important
Yeah.
group of all.
Yes.
Yeah, Colin Quinn kind of starts off saying he didn't get the job as the Lucky Charms leprechaun, and I think he says
He was fired as the Lucky
fired.
Charms spokesman.
Right.
So yeah,
Oh,
he's a
boy.
little bitter about that.
As you would be. Yeah, a lot of
As
Colin
you would
Quinn
be.
in this
Yeah.
episode. That's very
Again,
interesting.
heavy Colin Quinn episode. Yes.
Ooh. And yeah, so then they introduced our guest, Ned Clancy, who is the master of the limericks. We see Sting coming out, and he says, oh, give me a city, I'll make up a limerick. First person says Tahiti, and that first person, who I noticed, a former guest of SNL Nerds, Mr. Hugh Fink.
Oh, was it Hugh Fink? I didn't recognize Hugh Fink. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah,
Huh.
check it out. Hugh Fink pops up, gives him the town of Tahiti, and he makes up a limerick on the spot about Tahiti, and the limerick is basically about how a woman's cooking is not very good, and
Yes.
everybody
Yeah, she
laughs.
makes this meal, and then the husband has it. It's not very good, and
Right.
all the limericks he makes up are about that.
Yes, we have Sherry O'Terry's giving him in the town Poughkeepsie. It's another limerick about basically in Poughkeepsie how this woman's cooking is not very good. We have Tracy Morgan standing up saying Santo Domingo. And
I love that we even have the black cast members dressed up as limericks. That's kind of funny.
That's right. Yeah, that was like, black Irish, like, Shaquille O'Neal. And so they makes up another limerick about Santo Domingo, about a woman in Santo Domingo who's a terrible cook. And then suddenly Molly Shannon, who stands up and says, she doesn't even have an Irish accent, just stands up in a regular voice.
No, but it's all the funnier because of it. And she's
Yes.
just very hesitant. She's like, I don't mean to stir up trouble, but all your limericks seem to be about women cooking, and then the food doesn't taste very good.
Yeah. And then, of course, that upsets him. Then he makes up another limerick calling Molly Shannon a whore and threatening to beat her.
Yes.
Yikes.
And
then Tim Meadows stands up because he's Molly Shannon's husband and be like, hey, don't be talking to me wife like that. And then, of course, that causes him to go into another limerick about, a woman married to a leprechaun of a different race. And he gets more antagonistic. And then it ends with the leprechaun from the horror movie, Leprechaun standing up and doing a slow applause.
Yep, slow clap from the horror movie Leprechaun. Yeah.
And then everybody starts to applause. And then it cuts back to Colin wrapping up the show saying, yeah, thanks for joining us on the the Brendan O'Boyle show, and next week we'll have the Keebler Elves and David Spade.
Yes.
Um. It.
It's an odd one.
It's an odd one. It's an odd one. Like such an odd way to end it, where it's just, I don't know. It seemed like it was escalating and going to somewhere with like him like becoming more and more violent, and maybe, I don't know. It seemed like it was going somewhere, but then they just cut it off before it goes anywhere. Like like with the leprechaun from the horror movies just coming out of nowhere and then being like, oh yeah, David Spade's short. All right, good night. And then that's it. So I was like, so it's like, wait, what? That's
David Spade officially left the show at this point. He wasn't listening to the opening credits, was he?
He was not, no.
Okay. So yeah, I remember he was part of the people who carried over in 95, like along with Norm Macdonald and Tim Meadows, and I think that was about it. Or didn't Mark McKinney start a little before him too?
Oh boy. I'm gonna have to do some
Anyway, David Spade was one of those people who stuck around, but he didn't stick around for very long, and so he was gone by this point. So
yeah, I think he probably left along with Sandler and the rest of the crew.
Yeah, well, no, I mean he stuck around a little after.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Is what I'm saying.
Yes,
but he was gone by this point in the show's history.
Yes.
So why not insult him when he's just out the door?
Yes, that's the best time to insult somebody as they're leaving.
Yep. Oh, the things I'm going to say about you when you leave this podcast. Oh boy,
I knew it.
I can't wait.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
It's going to be so fun.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, Frank and I have a list.
Oh God. Yeah, this sketch. I wasn't too wild about it. It's, I don't know. It's an odd one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. David Spade was on from 1990 to 96, so he just left.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let's keep it going.
Not much else to say about this one.
Yeah. I really.
What it is.
Yeah.
It was okay, I guess.
Yeah. Let's go on to Mrs. Attlebury and Glenn.
Yeah, this is billed as new beau on some of the reference I was finding, where, again, these were recurring characters I did not really remember. This was Anna Gasteyer and Mark McKinney as this super waspy couple, the Atterberries, and the wife's very talkative, and the husband's just very oblivious. He's just sitting and trying to quietly read a book and just almost monosyllabic in his responses to her.
Right. Like he basically is just checked out of this marriage and just wants to read in peace and not listen to his wife.
Right. They're very waspy. They're very New England. She's got a scarf tied around her neck, and she's got that Hillary Clinton type of haircut and a little nasal, and just keeps talking and talking and talking about a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. Like me on this podcast. Basically.
Yeah.
So they're talking and talking, and then we have Molly Shannon come in as their daughter, bringing home her new boyfriend, Glenn, played by Sting. And just right off the bat, he seems like a bit of a ne'er-do-well. He plays like this sort of Cockney accented British hooligan who just
is kind of punky. Not quite like the full Billy Idol that Sting previously did on SNL, but he's getting in that neighborhood.
Right, like he says, he's not really a student; he's more of a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That doesn't seem suspicious.
Yeah, and of course, and he basically lives in his daughter's or Molly Shannon's dorm room. It's like, oh yeah, I live with your daughter in the dorm room. You sleep all day, shag all night.
Yeah.
So he's a no good Nick.
Yeah, and at one point he like puts the moves on Mrs. Atterbury, and I don't know. I don't find these characters especially funny. I find Mrs. Atterbury in particular more annoying than funny. I know that the characters in the sketch are supposed to find her annoying, but some of the annoyingness crossed over to me as an audience member, and I don't think that's generally good.
Yeah, just like basically the stuff I'll agree with you there. Like the stuff she kind of talks about is just and the voice like
The voice is a little grating. I mean,
yeah, and I think at some point it just all becomes kind of white noise where she's just talking
yeah,
and
yeah, you do
talking.
kind of tune her out.
Yeah, I mean I do like how Mark McKinney has a few zingers here and there. Like when a few
Right.
times he does get to talk by saying, "Oh, weren't we supposed to get divorced at some point?" And
Yeah.
he has a few little jabs here and there, but yeah, it is mostly Anna Gassayer's doing
Yeah,
most of
I
the
mean, she's
talking in this one.
driving it. He's just, yeah, getting in the little deadpan thing here and there. But I think he was definitely my favorite part. You you do kind of tune her out because the voice is a little grating.
Yeah, it's like, but I mean, I understand that's by
We are
design.
all Mr. Atterbury in this sketch. I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, I understand that's by design. It's supposed to be that way, but
Yeah, true.
it's not. I don't know. I guess there's a way. You have to find a way to make it that, but at the same time, still make it not that. If that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
exactly.
It's I don't know. I'm no performer. I know it's a tough tightrope to walk, but still, it's
Yeah, it gets a little into Californians territory where the
oh
audience is finding it annoying, and
oh
I'm not a fan of those types of things.
yeah. We know Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, you forgot, didn't you?
I did not. I
Uh,
did not. I've been trying to drive it out of my mind, but
I'm driving it right back in.
yeah.
Bam, bam. Uh,
Uh,
yeah. So like you said, Glenn is putting the moves on the mother while the daughter's away, saying, "Oh, you got a toy little boy," and then he just like straight up makes out with her, and that's then when we
yeah,
hear Mark McKinney saying, "Oh, silence."
yeah, that was cute. But it just kind of petered out.
Yeah,
Didn't do much for me.
yeah, it didn't really go anywhere. Like it kind of. Then Molly comes back, and then the two of them leave, and then she just kind of keeps on talking about something and like kind of blowing it off like it didn't happen. Which I guess is like a thing. Maybe that's what we're trying to say, like how these type of people really don't talk about like the big things in their life, and they suppress a lot of things, and they kind of just meander about mundane nonsense. But I don't know. It didn't really didn't do much for me, unfortunately.
Nope, didn't do much for me either. So next sketch.
Let's stop talking about it and move on to the next sketch.
Next sketch. Audition. Uh,
Audition.
this was kind of a recurring thing that they did. They where they'd have a musical guest who's like auditioning backup singers or backup dancers for their upcoming tour, and then Chris Kattan comes in and he's like dancing to the song lyrics in a very literal way. And they kind of revamped this somewhat later on when they brought Chris Parnell in as a partner for Chris Kattan's character, and I think it works better as a two-man thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's one of those things where I think Chris kind of needs somebody to play off of in this
Right.
one. Like, I don't know if it's as strong as just him. So,
No, it's not.
yeah.
It's definitely not.
Okay, all right. I was trying to be nice.
No, don't.
Okay.
Let's be brutal.
Okay. Yeah. So this one we have Sting and his wife in this sketch, Trudy Styler, and
Yeah, his real life wife.
real life wife, the real thing. Yeah.
Really, I think they're still together. I believe they're still together. Still together, presumably happy, having all the tantric sex and stuff.
Yeah. Did you read into like how they met and that whole thing about behind little scandal about them getting together?
No, no, lay it on me.
Uh, I saw it on Wikipedia, but like, yeah, basically, like Sting was already married to somebody else, and then he kind of had an affair with her,
Uh huh.
and she was like his wife's best friend, and
Ooh.
yeah, shit got messy.
Oh well.
Well, yeah,
But I mean, they're
but
still together, so it worked out.
yeah, it's all good.
I mean, look at it. Look, they broke a few eggs, but it sounds like they made a pretty good omelet,
Uh,
right?
yeah, it was. Yeah, wait,
Do they have kids? Does Sting have kids? I don't even know.
I believe yes, they do. 4 children.
Well, hey, look at that.
It all worked out.
It all worked out, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I guess I'm saying they were right to have that affair.
Gee, I'm not going to co-sign that. Yeah.
Well, you don't know. Maybe Sting's first wife is happier without him.
I guess, yeah, but still, I don't know. I always like reading messy scandals, things like that.
Do
Oof.
you? Do
Yeah,
you
oof.
now? You just a big gossip monger. You are.
Yes. And yeah, so basically, it's Trudy and Sting are auditioning backup singers and dancers for Sting's Next Tour. We have another Chris Kattan sketch, Kyle DeMarco, come out and dancing for him, doing his own moves. I think at one point Sting is playing "Every Breath You Don't Stand So Close to Me" on his guitar, and just
Right, and he literally Chris Kattan's character literally starts standing too close to him. He's like
yeah,
jamming himself up against Sting.
yeah. Actually, I think as he's about to play it, Ben DeMarco's like, "Hey, I know you have a, I'm sure you have a nice voice and all, but actually, I have my own music. I'd rather do this dance to." So he plays a CD of Sting singing "Don't Stand So Close to Me" from the album.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. He's like, I have my own music. Thank you.
yeah, and yeah. So then he does like all this interpretive dancing. It's hard to describe this one. It's like you kind of have to see it.
Yeah,
And then of course he sings. He does like the song "Every Breath You Take," and he breathes hot breath on Sting's
yeah.
neck, and Sting's
It's
not.
very lame moves, but part of the joke is that Sting's wife Trudy is kind of into it. She really likes him.
Yeah, she's really into it, even though Sting isn't. And Sting says, "Yeah, I'm sorry, you're not what we're looking for." He breaks down in tears, saying, "Oh, I was a big fan of yours, but as far as I'm concerned, your new name is now Stink,
Yeah,
because it sounds like Sting, John.
yeah.
Did you get that?
Uh,
Because if you
Definitely worked better as a double act.
Because John, if you take the K off Stink and you add a G, you get Sting.
Oh, we're still on this gag.
Oh, are
Okay,
we
all
not?
right.
Oh, okay, sorry. But yeah, but Trudy likes him and hugs him, and then it just kind of ends. It ends pretty abruptly. This sketch.
Kind of, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it definitely. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it definitely needed more. Like I think this would have been.
Yeah, no, it works better when Chris Kattan has somebody to play off of.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah,
And yeah, then we close out the night with race and racism discussion with Sting, or I think in some places it just says race and racism.
yeah. A lot of race stuff in this episode.
Yeah, what is going on here?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know, but they seem to. I mean, we've got the KKK thing. We've got the the the
the
comments in the Brendan Boyle sketch, the leprechaun thing.
yeah, the MCs.
The MCs, yeah, I guess that's hitting on race stuff too. Yeah, a lot of it. They're going to this well a lot.
They really are, and it's interesting how it's like you. I think you mentioned before. Yeah, the writers room is probably a bunch of white dudes, and it's like, let's talk about race,
And
guys.
we literally have 2 black cast members. So that's it.
Yeah, whenever we're gonna have this opportunity again, we got 2 of them.
I mean, that's an all-time high.
Oh my god, that's twice as many as we usually have.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's do it. Let's get into it. It's Race and Racism, a talk show hosted by Tim Meadows, and he's interviewing Sting, who's playing Steve Van Bruges, who's from South Africa, fighting apartheid, leading a fight
Yeah.
against his grandfather's policy in South Africa. But for some reason, Tim Meadows' character keeps bringing up the movie Ghostbusters.
Right. Apropos of nothing, he's bringing up Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like he's talking about they're talking about apartheid, and he says, "Hey, so have you ever seen the movie Ghostbusters? And are you afraid of ghosts?" And so you're saying if there's something strange in your neighborhood, who are you gonna call? And he's just
Right.
confusing Sting's character, saying, "I don't understand what's happening here." And then, of course, Tim Meadows keeps on with this, saying, "Hey, and the apartheid thing you keep prattling on about, is that like a specter or some type of apparition?"
Yeah, I like how you just sort of gradually realize over the course of the sketch that Tim Meadows' character has no idea what apartheid is.
Now, what is that? And then, of course, it ends with Sting's character getting frustrated and literally leaving the show. And then Tim Meadows just literally just does some goofy dance to the Ghostbusters theme song.
Yep.
What an odd way to end the night.
I mean, like, this is the last sketch of the night. It's where you want the weird stuff.
I, yeah, like I feel, it was a very abrupt ending, another one. And
Uh-huh.
also, like when he said the apartheid thing you keep prattling on about, like him not knowing, like I feel like there's kind of some, again, there's like kind of something there about
Uh-huh.
him just really being obsessed with
I
the
mean,
movie
it's
Ghostbusters.
very interesting that they have the black guy be the one who's unaware of apartheid, and then the
Yeah.
white guy is like, I've been fighting against it. That was a cool way to go with it.
Yeah, like I feel like there was something there, but it didn't quite get there for me. But God bless
Yeah.
Tim Meadows. He tried to make it happen with his goofy little goof dance at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all right. But then the show ends on another song, but not by Veruca Salt. No, no. We get
No, since we got Sting in the house, we have Sting performing a song. He does a song, "My One and Only Love."
yeah. So this was like an old jazz standard.
Hmm.
Sinatra did it. Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan. And I also realized this song was on the soundtrack to Leaving Las Vegas. So, I mean, I don't know if he wanted to do this song to sort of promote that movie or the soundtrack or what, but it's
Uh
really,
huh.
I mean, it's a beautiful song. It's very mellow and, jazz standardy. It's, something you'd hear at a Starbucks or something like that. But
Hmm.
I was like, wow, this is a really smooth, mellow way to end the night.
Yeah. Yeah. It does give us a nice mellow vibe to close out the night.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought it was nice. I thought it was okay. And yeah, that's the episode. Interesting episode. I had some highs, had some lows, had
Yeah.
some head scratchers, but overall, I don't think.
So, an episode of SNL, basically.
Yes, absolutely,
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
exactly. All those people who say, "Oh, SNL isn't funny anymore. It ain't funny like when I grew up in the '90s." We're here to tell you it wasn't that funny back then either.
No, you're just remembering the good stuff. I mean, it's always, always, always been a hit and miss show,
Exactly.
like from the beginning.
Yeah, but I mean, I will admit this was a fun little trip down memory lane. See about what they talked about back then in the '90s, especially Veruca Salt. When I saw Veruca Salt, I was like, "Whoa, this is
Yeah.
I am in college again. I am on the quad." And so it does do that. And it's also good to see the old cast members you grew up with, and you'd be like, "Oh wow, yeah, Chris Kattan." Like you see, like he was really putting in some work. He was getting tons of screen time at in his day, and is
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of funny. Like Chris Kattan fades in the memory a little bit because he's one of those cast members who I'll say didn't really go on to a whole lot of other stuff after SNL. So his career has sort of fallen by the wayside a bit.
yeah,
And
no, that's fair
I'm
enough.
not saying that's like I'm not saying that's his fault or anything. I'm just saying that's the way the cookie crumbled. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of funny to see him back in his heyday and realize what a popular cast member he was at the time.
yeah, no, that's a fair thing to say. He probably, I mean, he kind of, no, he did. He got more screen time than Will Ferrell in this episode.
He
So I
did,
mean,
he did, yeah, and we saw
that's
most
saying quite a
everything.
yeah, that's saying quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and
So
that's
I mean, I feel like it's just an okay episode at best. Um,
yeah,
Definitely, I think my favorite of the night was the home shopping thing where they're selling off Mark Hamill.
yes. Any sketch that mentions Bruce Boxleitner is thumbs up in
Yes,
my book.
and look, I'd buy a Mark Hamill if I could. If
Oh,
I had the money, I would buy myself a Mark Hamill.
we're setting up a GoFundMe right now, John, to get you a Mark Hamill just in time for your birthday.
Thank God. Thank God. Yeah, I'll probably take that loan to raise that money.
That's right. Give if you can, people.
Yes.
The price of a cup of coffee can get Mr. John Trumbull his very own Mark Hamill.
I've been wanting to interview that dude for a while now, so
That's the dream.
I've got all sorts of Joker questions for him. I'm not joking. I'm not interviewing the guy.
I know you're not joking. That's why it's so funny to me.
Oh, thank you. My pain is humorous to you. Oh,
Yes.
well, that's good to know. Okay.
Your pain amuses me.
Yay.
Yay. And that's our episode, guys. Thanks again for listening as always. Next week, SNL is off. And should we tell the good people what we're going to do for the next episode?
Let's
do it. Apropos of nothing, John and I decided to talk about one of our favorite SNL-related movies, one of the ones that tickle our fancy quite a bit. We're gonna do old school. We're gonna do old school.
Old school. We're going old school, and we're watching old school.
Yes.
Will Ferrell.
Luke Wilson.
Vince Vaughn. Dudes in their 30s, starting a fraternity.
Jeremy Piven.
Hilarity ensues.
Yeah, Jeremy Piven. You're my boy, Blue. My lord. It's
Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis is in there.
And what's her face from King of Queens?
Leah Remini. Boom.
Thank you.
The
Dan. I was blanking on her name, but
yeah, the Dan Band, the beautiful Dan Band. My God,
the Dan Band. Yeah, we're gonna cover it all. We're gonna go there.
Yeah, like
we're gonna see if it holds up. This movie's like 20 years old now, which is insane to me.
It hurts me to think it because I still remember. I might have seen it like 3 or 4 times in the theater. I really got a kick. This was like one of those movies me and my buddies would just quote ad nauseum, just at the drop of a hat, like going straight.
You probably got obnoxious about it. I have not revisited this one in a long time. I think what kind of planted the idea in my head was Cinema Sins. I think they just recently did a Sins video on old school. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen old school in forever. We should do this on the podcast. And so we are.
Yes.
So we're going to see if it holds up.
Time to see if it holds up. Yeah. I know a word is uttered in the first 5 minutes that's not still, but it is iffy in these days and times. But I think after that, it might hold up. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we're going to watch it. We'll see how horrified we are watching it through 2023 eyes. It's going to be an adventure. So, yeah, join us. Won't you? Tell us your memories of old school. Have you ever seen it? Do you still watch it? Does it still hold up for you? We want to know. We're curious.
Yeah, let us know. And as always, you can follow us on Twitter at SNL Nerds Show. You can donate to our Patreon, Non-Productive.com. Give us money. Please, please, please. And as always, you can follow me.
That helps us out with the show. And, the expenses of the show might be going up. We don't know. But we just read something like, we might have to put a little more money into doing this show. So contributing to the Patreon can really, really help.
Yes.
Another thing that can really help is rating and reviewing us on your podcast player of choice.
Yes, please. For the love of Pete.
That helps us. That boosts us in the algorithms and all that. And, it helps if you have nice things to say.
Yeah. Don't be a tool and say horrible things. Say nice things. Be nice.
Yeah. We like that.
Yeah. We nice.
Enjoy it when people say nice things about us.
Yeah.
And the show in general.
Exactly. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Darren Credible. That's DARIN. Credible.
And you can follow me on the Twitter and the Instagram at Trumbull Comic. That's TRUMBULL and the word comic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the episode. And catch us next week. Old school. Do your homework on that. Rent it or what have you from your library, or I understand people are doing streaming now, so I guess you could do that. And join us again for another wild and wacky, wonderful episode of SNL Nerds, my friend.
Yeah. So next week, old school. That's what we'll be doing then. So join us, won't you? But until then, Nerds out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.